I was not high on Victor Wembanyama. I'll raise my hand and say I was wrong. I had all of these reasons, all of these signals that would lead me to believe that he would have an okay season. First thing was he plays for the Spurs, right? It is not like traditionally, it is not one of the most fantasy friendly teams in the NBA, right? They're known for resting players. Greg Popovich is just not crazy about young guys, whatever it is. But he took it back to like the Tim Duncan days. He gave this guy the keys to the car early, and he totally blew my mind. So I wanted to just start this episode by saying I was wrong. And all hail the rising king, Victor Wembanyama. In this episode, we're going to talk about the fantasy awards. Yes, the fantasy basketball awards. We're going to go through a bunch of different awards, including MVP, Rookie of the Year, and a whole lot more. We believe every NBA fan that plays fantasy football should also play fantasy basketball. BetOnline is your number one source for all your summer sports this season, from MLB, golf, NBA, and NHL playoff stats. All the latest stats, news, and scores available to follow your favorite teams. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest team matchups, player props, and odds on just about every sport out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet online, where the game starts. Now, I don't believe I've ever done a proper NBA award show, right? I've probably like talked about players and like, hey, like this guy had a good season. This is the waiver wire pickup of the year. Maybe in like a short, a TikTok. I don't know. But this season, we had such an amazing outpouring of support from our community. Just like, it's just been a great season. So I wanted to make sure that we close out right. Tonight, at the time of recording this, the NBA season is concluded. The regular NBA season, I should say. We're getting ready for the play-in tournament, and then we're going to get ready for the playoffs. We will still be providing content here on the channel week to week, but I wanted to make sure that we got it in and talked about the NBA awards. So, our fantasy basketball awards. The first category that we want to talk about is Rookie of the Year. So I talked a little bit about Wemby, and listen, guys, one thing, if you've been following the channel for a while, you know I will always raise my hand and let you know when I mucked it up, right? If I mess something up, if I have a bad take, a bad call, I'll come back. And honestly, in this offseason, I was not high on Wemby because of him playing for the Spurs, but also the injury risk, right? This guy's like 6 foot, 7 foot, whatever. He's like a daggone alien giant. He gonna get his bones broken messing with these NBA guys. But I was wrong, right? Wemby takes care of his body. He knows what he's doing. Like, from what I hear, the young man goes to bed at like 9 p.m. and will not even take calls after that. Like, he is locked in. Or he is not in the club with Zion Williamson chasing the baddies. Right? Huh? He is in the crib like homebody watching Law and Order. That's how you win championships. So I'm just saying, we got a few nominees that we want to share with you. The first nominee is Amin Thompson, although Amin didn't get run early on in the season for fantasy basketball. I do want to acknowledge his, end of season run, the value that he's been providing for fantasy managers and putting them in a position to potentially win. So Amin Thompson, definitely someone who had a great season as a rookie, and we're going to give him a nomination. The next player we nominate, Chet Holmgren. And yes, Chet Holmgren is in his second year, but his first year playing, so he's considered a rookie by NBA standards. Chet had an amazing year, and if he didn't do the roller coaster ride, he might have put himself in a position to be in the conversation with Victor Wembanyama for the Rookie of the Year for fantasy basketball. But it is clear, like no doubt, no argument, no discussion. It's unanimous across all circles, all platforms. You know, whether you're a fantasy basketball nerd like myself or you're just an NBA fan, Stephen A. Smith, like to daggone Josh Lloyd, like whoever it is, from fantasy to NBA, everyone would agree that the Rookie of the Year for the 2023-2024 season is none other than Victor Wembanyama. Yes, Victor Wembanyama. Victor this season, now check this out. On the season, he averaged 29.6 minutes per game, which is good, but it's not crazy. He's not averaging 35, 36 minutes, 40 minutes a game. You know, that's moderate for a starter, right? 29.6 minutes, but check this out. 21.4 points per game on the season. I'm not done. Your man is averaging a double-double. 10.6 rebounds per game. Top is off. Boobies is out. Hair blowing in the wind. Whew. Convertible status. 3.9 assists. Not bad at all. But check this out. This is where it gets crazy, right? Your man is averaging 1.2 steals per game on a season. He is a center, y'all. We not done. 3.6 blocks per game. Insanity. You heard of Linsanity? This is the real insanity with what this guy's doing on a defensive level. It's just out of control. Like, I haven't seen anything like this. This is crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. So let's get into our next award. The next award is the steal of the draft. Somebody who was maybe going a lot lower than what he ended up producing on the in the regular season, but also guys that maybe got slept on a little bit, right? So we got a couple of guys here. I'm going to talk about the nominees first. So the first nominee for steal of the draft is Alperen Sengun. Alperen Sengun is somebody that he was okay last year. He had a pretty okay season. This season, he went all the way off and took a huge leap. So people were getting him later in drafts, and he actually way, beyond what we expected, produced on a high level. The next player is Paul George, another player who kind of went way later, than what he's put up, the kind of numbers he's been producing this season. Paul George is somebody that I tried to pick up where I could this season, but definitely produce on a high level. And the last player is Paul George's teammate, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard has been producing on a first-round level in fantasy basketball this year, especially in 9-category leagues. He is going all the way off, right? And he went later. People were concerned about his injuries. And you know what? I've been on the hilltop to stay away from Kawhi Leonard. And I've been right probably the last 3 years in a row. 2 years in a row, I should say. So the first 2 seasons of the channel, I was all the way right. This is the third full season for the channel. And this year, again, I'll raise my hand. Oh, I got this one wrong. Your man Kawhi has been cooking with hot bacon grease. What? No avocado oil, no coconut oil, no vegetable oil. Bacon grease from the flesh of a pig. Like, no joke. So, I'm excited to announce the winner of the Steal of the Draft Award for 2023-2024 is none other than the Claw, Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard on the season averaging 34 minutes per game, 23.7 points, 6 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 1.6 steals, and just under a block a game. Kawhi Leonard had an amazing season. Congratulations to you, Kawhi. You will not hear anything from me next season about you resting games, you being banged up and injured. You got that. You currently are the winner of the Steal of the Year award, Steal of the Draft award. Next up, Most Improved. The most improved player for fantasy basketball. This was tough. A lot of names. And big shout out to the community. We're at the end of the episode. I'm going to go through on my phone some of the actual lists that our community members shared with us for the award show. And we had some really good lists. But this was a tough one, man. This was a tough one. So we're going to go right into the most improved player for fantasy basketball. Here are the nominees. The first nominee is Tyrese Maxey, right? People did not really think, I mean, at least I didn't think, that Maxey would take the type of leap that he took this season. There was the whole James Harden confusion. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Like, should I pick him up? Is he, like, what do I do, right? People didn't know. But for the people who did grab Maxey, they were rewarded mightily, right? So they came up. So Maxey's the first nominee. Next up, man, this guy was a killer this season. Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes is in the conversation as one of the top dynasty prospects or dynasty players in the NBA. For fantasy basketball, he's high. He's like top 10, top 15 type guy. People see a lot of potential in him with a rich future. He did taper off towards the end of the season in terms of his stats, and he did end up with an injury, which didn't, work in his favor for this award. Next up, Alperen Sengun, again, nominated for another award. He just was nominated for Steal of the Draft, and he is also nominated for Most Improved. The numbers don't lie, man. Your man is like, he's making cheesecakes and like he's doing the Chris Paul look away fake on people. Like the man is baby Joker. That's all I gotta say, baby Joker. But the thing about Sengun's game that is different than the Joker, and I think the Joker is super talented, but his game is clunky. Like visually, it's clunky. Sengun's game is no clunk about it. It is smooth. Yeah, it's a little slower than a guard, but like the Euro is beautiful. Like, the dribble game is beautiful. So I really love what Sengun is doing. I got him like, man, I think I might have even grabbed him off of the waiver wire a couple, in his rookie year. And stashed him, waited, and I'm so happy that he's on my roster. So Sengun is definitely someone who is in the running for Most Improved. But there can only be one. And the winner is for the 2023-2024 Most Improved Player, Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey on the season is averaging 37.6 minutes per game, 25.9 points per game. Huh? Where they do that at? 3.7 rebounds, 6.2 assists, and 1 steal, about half a block. And also his turnovers are pretty low. 1.7 turnovers a game for a point guard. I think that's pretty low. I love Tyrese Maxey, man. Like, I'm so happy that he took this leap. There was a time when he was a rookie, I think, and there was, I believe he was playing alongside, or he was battling for minutes, I should say, with Shake Milton, and I was like, that guy's a lot better than Shake Milton. They need to just, like, pour into him. I think that the year that he had with Harden helped him, too, to work directly with a Hall of Fame level talent like James Harden. I think helped him along the path. And yeah, man, I'm really excited to see what Tyrese Maxey is going to do in the fantasy basketball world moving forward. Next up, I want to remind you that you got to be a two-way player. What do I mean? I mean, when it comes to our YouTube channel, we want you to watch, but also we want you to subscribe and follow us on our audio podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. So we need you to play offense and defense. Offense is YouTube, where you watch and listen. And then on defense, we need you to listen to our podcast. You can do both. It is totally fine. In the car, listen to the podcast. We got tons of evergreen content. So we have content about how to do this, how to do that, how to set your lineups, how to create a dynasty league, all of these different topics. So please make sure you check out some of those episodes as well. Now let's get into the goodies. For me, these are my favorite categories, my favorite awards. I would say that the MVP will do last is not my favorite one. Out of these two, is one of these got to be my favorite. So next up, we're going to talk bust of the year. The bust of the year. Man, it sucks to be nominated for this, but at least you're winning something, right? Let's get right to the nominees. The first nominee is somebody who's been on rosters for years, never been really great, but always on a roster, never a waiver wire guy. This year, he made the unfortunate jump from roster ready to waiver wire ridden. Ugh. I'm talking about from the Golden State Warriors, Andrew Wiggins. And I'll start by saying this. No disrespect to Andrew Wiggins. No disrespect to any NBA player. I always say the NBA is like the top league on the planet. So to be in the league, you have to be one of the top players on the planet. So none of these players suck, right? However, in fantasy, Wiggins stunk up the joint this season. Oh, yeah. Hot dog water with the jalapenos. Huh? Dumpster juice fire. Flammable. It was not good. Waiver wire it was for my man Andrew Wiggins. So hopefully he gets it together. Don't know what's going to happen in the future with the Warriors, but it was not a good look to see Andrew Wiggins on the waiver wire this year. So he is our first nominee. Second nominee, another guy. I know he's talented. I know he's gifted. But, man, he has been leaving the kids at the pool. Literally. I'm talking about from the Washington Wizards, Jordan Poole. People were high on Jordan Poole. I was not. I'll start by saying that. Hey, I said earlier, I got it wrong with Wemby. I got it right with Jordan Poole. I said, stay away. Stay far away. And the reason wasn't because of anything on the basketball court. All signs would indicate that he would be good there because when he was on the Warriors with a Steph Curry, with a Klay Thompson, right, having to share the backcourt with two Hall of Famers, he was still able to produce, even if he wasn't the featured act. But the baddies? Huh? Your man had all of this like Kardashian type energy, yo. It was always somebody on the sidelines, Ice Spice. He was taking Ice Spice out, dropping all kinds of paper on Ice Spice. He just had his head, like, his head was in the wrong lane. You hear me? Jordan Poole had everything laid out for him. He was just not focused. So for me, I didn't look at any statistics to make my assessment of Jordan Poole. I made my assessment based on what was happening on World Star Hip Hop. I'm just saying. And the last nominee, this one hurts. Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges is nice, y'all. Like, nice. And we expected that he would be, many of us, not me, another player that I was definitely lower on than the consensus, right? I was not as high on him as many. You know, I know I'm in a bunch of, rooms and groups with other fantasy analysts, and I know many of us were higher on him. I was not. I was not. The thing about him, right? And this is, I'm gonna keep it a stack with y'all. I'm gonna keep it 100% with you. He's not the main guy. He's not. He won't thrive as the main guy. Where he needs to be, just on another note, he needs to be in New York with his Villanova brothers. He needs to be across the river, leave Barclays, go to the Garden, pull up with the back-to-back Villanova boys, DiVincenzo, huh? Josh Hart, huh? Jalen Brunson, huh? And then you add Mikal Bridges, send Anunoby, send Randall, send whoever you got to send. If y'all get those boys back together, the Villanova boys, Villanova in the building tonight. Oh, what a feeling. I'm lying. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm just saying. Mikal Bridges, you need to be playing for the Knicks. So, the winner out of these poor souls, Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole, and Mikal Bridges. The bust of the year goes to none other than the baddie trap himself, Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole. Yes. And you know what? Jordan Poole kind of brought it back towards the end of the season, but he stunk up the joint so bad, it was legendary. And then additionally, he also found himself on some waiver wires this season. So Jordan Poole, man, I hope you get it together next season because the fantasy gods are watching. They are watching. Okay, we're almost done, folks. Two more categories. This one is my favorite one. And this might have been the hardest one, to be quite honest. If you guys disagree with any of these, I would love to hear your takes in the comments. Again, before we leave, I'm going to go through some of the Discord community winners and their list of who they think should have won these awards. I'm going to go through some of those, but this was the hardest one. But the waiver wire pickup of the year is my favorite award. I've seen it on other shows. I've never done one here, so I'm excited about doing an official award ceremony for these players, so let's get right into it. The first player I think might be controversial. The first nominee might be controversial. People might not look at him as a waiver wire guy because he was drafted in so many spaces, including for me. Like, I picked him up, stashed him, and waited because he was ineligible to play for the early part of the season. So because of that, you had to just kind of eat it. Hey, you, right? So I was patient. I grabbed him, and it worked out for me. The first nominee is Miles Bridges. Yes, Miles Bridges was on the waiver wire for many of us, especially if you're in a shallow league, like an 8-team league, 10-team league, even 12s. He was available widely. So for Miles Bridges, people were sleeping on him so hard because they didn't know what was going to happen with his case. Me, personally, I had to take that risk. And I encouraged all of you during draft season to do the same. That it's a few players you want to get on the back end and just be patient. And for him, it's someone that it really paid off for us in the long run. The next player, somebody that came out of the blue. Like, I would be lying through my teeth if I said that I could have expected or seen this coming from the Atlanta Hawks, Jalen Johnson. What? Yo, you grabbed Jalen Johnson off the waiver wire. He was crushing it before his injury, especially. After the injury, this time of the season, it's like not as much happening. Like, he's not, it just wasn't as consistent. But that run that he had was epic. One of the best waiver wire runs that I've seen. It's like you added him just to be like, all right, let's see what happens. Is this happening? And it's still happening? Like, you grab Jalen Johnson, then I'm like, in my episodes, I'm like, sell high. Sell high every week. Sell high. And then finally, I'm like, you might want to hold, especially in Dynasty. The one thing I love about the younger guys for fantasy is that there's so much room to grow. Like, we know what we going to get from a player like, I don't know, Tobias Harris, right? Tobias Harris, when he's good, he's good. But he ain't going to be that much better than he was last year. A player like Jalen Johnson, next season, he could just blow the roof off this joint. So for me, I'm in the front row, like at a Wu-Tang concert, throwing up the A for my man Jalen Johnson. Like, I love him. And the last nominee, this is a good category. This is going to be tough, y'all. From the Chicago Bulls, Kobe White. Somebody I was a little higher on, but not nearly as high as some of my other fantasy analysts out there. Like, Kobe White was a gem if you drafted him. Some people drafted him late, but he was out on the waiver wire chilling. He was having he was like making s'mores on the waiver wire. Like, y'all gonna pick me up? Somebody better pick me up because I'm about to go all the way off, right? And that he did. Somebody that once you grabbed him, you held on because he just performed every single week. He had some games where, like, most players have a bad game or two, every few games, but like pretty consistent throughout the season. So for me, Kobe White, definitely someone that is in the running for waiver wire pickup of the year. But there can only be one. There can only be one. Again, this was probably the hardest decision to make for the night. And the winner of the waiver wire pickup of the year award goes to Jalen Johnson from the Atlanta Hawks. On the season, Jalen Johnson averaged 33.7 minutes per game, 16 points per game, 8.7 rebounds per game. Let that sink in. 3.6 assists, 1.2 blocks. 1.2 steals, yes, and 0.8 blocks per game, a little under a block a game. Jalen Johnson is, in fact, that guy. Look out for him next season. I don't know where he's going to fall in terms of ADP, but I believe that he is someone we're going to have to keep an eye on for years to come. Now, what you've all been waiting for, the fantasy basketball MVP, the most valuable player for fantasy. Now, I'll start by saying this. We have tons of players in our community in points leagues, category leagues, and some we even have in some ACAT leagues. So this is not going to be based on rankings and just, where they landed in terms of their statistics. It's just going to be in general, right? I'm going to do my best to be like, hey, it could be any of these guys, but you can pick yours. I'm picking mine. I'm just saying. So here we go. We're going to run right into it. So the first guy, he got a bunch of MVPs. He got real-life MVPs. He got fantasy MVPs. I mean, the man just don't play. In points leagues this year, he was ranked number 3. In 9-cat, he was ranked number 2. And in 8-cat, he was also ranked number 2. So he should be considered for this award just about every year. I'm talking about from the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic. Yep, the Joker is back, and he's looking to bring home his trophy. Now, one could argue that last year Joel Embiid would have been the MVP, but he just missed too many games, y'all. Joel Embiid is number one in ACAT according to per game rankings, number one in non-cat, and in points leagues, he's number two. So he would be in this race if he played, but he was banged up for so long, he's not even nominated. So he doesn't get the nomination. The next player, though, is nominated. I'm talking about from the Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic in 8 category leagues is number 4. Really good. In 9 category leagues, he's number 5. Pretty good. In points leagues, Luka Doncic is number 1 in points leagues. Huh? But here's the thing that's really wild about that, y'all. Check this out. Come here. Luka's number 1. Joel is not nominated, right? So he's out of the picture. But the total here on, and I'll share it with you so you can see if you're watching at home. But if you're listening, I'll still talk about it. The total here for points for him is 59.34. Joel is not nominated. He's been injured. When his is really close, 59.3. But look at the gap between Luka and the Joker, which is 56.86. It's a huge gap. It's like a 3-point gap between them. And then the rest of the guys, it's all close. It's like Anthony Davis is 52, SGA is 51, Victor is 48, Sabonis is 47. So it's all like 1 point. I just think it's really interesting that the gap between Jokic and Luka in points leagues is so wide. So I think that's interesting. And then the last player we want to talk about from the Oklahoma City Thunder. SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. In points leagues, SGA is number 6. In 9-cat, he is number 3. And in 8-cat, he is also number 3. So again, this was a super hard call. Very difficult decision for me to make. Again, we're going to go over a few of the names that the community has. But for me, this was tough. But I just got to go with my heart. I got to go with my heart on this one. And I'm going to have to say, for 2023-2024, the fantasy basketball MVP is Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks. Wow. I'm just saying, it was not easy. It was not easy. But let's talk about it. Luka Doncic on the season is averaging 37.5 minutes per game. Check this out. Your man is averaging 33.9 points per game. Huh? 9.2 rebounds. What? 9.8 assists. Come on, man. You ready for this one? It gets better. 1.4 steals per game. And about a half a block a game. Man, oh man. Whew. So that wraps up our award show. I do want to just quickly go through some of the names and players that folks dropped in the Discord really quick. So Antec says his MVP is Joker. His rookie of the year is Wemby. His most improved is Kobe White. His waiver pickup is Jalen Johnson. His bust is Ja Morant. Very interesting. Steal of the draft, Paul George. Very good, very good. The next one is from Zinks. He says his MVP is the Joker. Rookie of the year, Wemby. Most improved player is Jalen Johnson. Waiver wire pickup, Josh Hart. Bust of the year, Mikal Bridges. And steal of the draft, Paul George as well. Paul George. And this one is from Paschetti. Paschetti says his MVP is the Joker. Rookie of the Year, Wemby. Most improved, Maxey. Waiver wire, Anthony Simons? I don't know about that one. Bust, Mikal Bridges. I'm okay with that. Steal of the draft, Fred VanVleet, Scotty Barnes, and AD. Very interesting. Then we got Reed. Reed says his MVP is Joker. Rookie of the Year, Wemby. Most improved, Maxey. Bust, Jordan Poole. Waiver wire ad, Kobe White. Steal of the draft, Kawhi Leonard. Salty Walty says his MVP is Joker. Rookie of the Year, Wemby. Most improved, Kobe White. Waiver pickup, Jalen Johnson. Steal, Şengün. Bust, Klay Thompson. Zach Y says his MVP is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Rookie of the Year is Brandon Miller. Most improved, Shea. Shea was good last year too, though. Bust, Nick Smith Jr. or Scoot. I don't know about this one. Waiver wire ad, Gigi Jackson. Steal of the draft, Nick Richards. Money Murray says championship best ad, Delano Banton. I love that. We'll do a category next year maybe for maybe I'll even do a show. Let me know in the comments. If you guys want me to do a playoff MVP show, let me know. Big Baller says MVP Luka. Nice. Rookie of the Year, Wemby. Okay, we here right now, bro. You're the first. I think you're the first one. We all the way there. Maxey, most improved. We there. Bust, LaMelo Ball. That's a good one, but we not on the same page on that one. But that's a good one. Waiver wire, Miles Bridges. Draft steal, Derek White. Oh shoot, Derek White could have been most improved too. And then Straw says MVP Luka, Rookie of the Year Wemby. Most improved, Kobe White. Bust, Jordan Poole. Waiver wire ad, Kobe White. Steal of the draft, Vucevic. Vucevic was his. Vucevic. So, do me a big favor. If you could, check out our playlist, which should be right here. Check out our playlist so you guys can catch up on what we did all season. And also, if you have any ideas for future shows, please let us know. I can't wait to pick up with you next week. We're going to still be dropping content. And this episode was presented to you by Bet Online. Peace.